Hello everybody and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Guapish Rule 34. As always, I'm your host Tanner, and today I'm joined by my super special co-host, Nico!
They're eating the dogs!
I couldn't understand that.
I think he said they're eating the dogs.
Oh, shit.
Which they are. Also joining us, resident dog lover, I guess I'll do the one that actually makes sense for that, Dylan!
Holy shit, they're eating my dogs!
They broke into Dylan's house and they started feasting. And finally joining us, notorious dog hater, Jackson.
Hold on a second, a woman is speaking. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna give you $10,000 if you vote for me. Vote for Democrats, baby. $10,000 for free.
Huh.
Oh boy. I guess we'll start off with politics. Holy shit, we have so much going on.
There
what
is
the
a
fuck?
lot going on.
Right?
For a little bit of, breaking the I can't think of the phrase.
Marble.
A little behind the scenes for you guys. We are recording this on Sunday, September 15th, so today is the day that Donald Trump was almost assassinated yet again. I mean, it doesn't sound like they got all that close, but, they tried it. Do you guys take a look at that shit I posted of, who this guy is?
Yeah, I took a little gander. This guy seems like a total schizo.
He is, some insane fucking boomer. He's seemingly very obsessed with Ukraine. He, flew to Ukraine and tried to, enlist to fight, and they were like, dude, you're too old. And he's like, damn. And then he's trying to recruit Afghan soldiers to get smuggled into Ukraine to fight for Ukraine. It's I don't even know what's going on reading this shit. I don't know. You guys got what are your guys' overall thoughts on yet another assassination attempt on Trump?
The man is literally invincible. He cannot die. He is clearly the best choice for America. That's all we needed, apparently.
I legitimately didn't even realize there was another attempt.
Oh.
That's very funny. Yeah, he was golfing today and someone started popping off shots at him with an AK-47.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Not a fully automatic one, as I learned.
Oh, I was about to say.
Yeah. Apparently the guy was, at a fence line behind some bushes and just, popped off some shots, seemingly inaccurately. And, he had hung 2 backpacks filled with tile on the fence to, protect him from the Secret Service firing back.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Did he end up hitting anybody?
No, he didn't hit anything.
That's good.
We'll have to see how close he actually wound up coming, but, yeah, he popped off a couple of shots. The Secret Service spotted him and started firing before he shot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good.
So I actually don't know if he got any shots off, now that I think about it, but they noticed him, started shooting at him. He got in his car and fled briefly, and then they arrested him later. They got him in custody now.
Oh, thank God.
Now, do you think that this will be any better for Trump's campaign at all, or have we already reached the point of diminishing returns for assassination attempts?
I don't see how this shit couldn't not help him.
Okay.
I don't know. Are we truly so gone as a country that repeated assassination attempts will just be I guess that's what it is?
How many do you think we need to have for us to get to that point?
I feel like one's enough.
Surely by the 8th, people will stop caring that much.
The problem is that there's a certain number where once you hit it, you're like, okay, what the fuck is going on?
I feel like that's 3 or 4, to be completely honest. That seems like a pretty good number.
Maybe. Yeah. My concern now is I'm like, okay, I feel like this is the floodgates opening. We've had 2 attempts, so now this is just going to embolden more people to be like, well, I'm going to give it a shot now.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned that we're just going to see repeated assassination attempts, perhaps for the rest of this man's life.
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say, funny how this man was president for 4 years and wasn't, at least to public knowledge that I'm aware of, an assassination attempt, and now during the president candidacy, there's been 2 in the past year. And ironically...
That's a great point, Dylan.
ironically enough,
they've somehow fear-mongered people about what he's going to do more than they did when he actually had some political power.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, ironically enough, when we're like in an era and like a I forget what they call when the president is in office, but basically where they're trying to like restrict guns and all that, and get people to get the gun laws to go up more. So I just think that's kind of funny, considering the people attempting to assassinate him are probably Democrats in the first place. But what do I know?
Which U.S. president was like attempted to be assassinated the most amount of times? Do we have like an all-time record for that?
Let's see what Google tells me. It looks like Gerald Ford, who had 2 attempts on his life.
Let's go.
That's it?
So that means, yeah, Trump is already tied, dude.
Damn.
Yeah, I imagine the purpose of an assassination is for it to be successful on the first go of it, and not, any time after, as we've seen in the past.
Right. The thing is, like, so there have been like a lot more attempts on other guys, but a lot of them happened like after they were president.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, technically
like
this
Bill
still
Clinton
applies.
has had a lot of attempts on his life, but most of them happened after he was president, it seems.
Damn.
Also, like, defining what counts as an attempt is kind of tricky, Like, if they get a warning so far in advance and they're able to stop it before anything can actually happen, does that count as an attempt? Etc., etc.
That's fair.
I mean,
Like,
I guess it... Now I was about to make a stupid comparison. It'd be like the difference between, like, first-degree murder and, like, attempted murder. The only difference is one had action and the other didn't.
hold on. Okay, so I'm looking at... So, there are 3... attempts on Trump's life. For some reason, the one where they hit him isn't listed here, but
Weird.
this one's very funny. From September 6th of 2016, a 42-year-old man from Bismarck, North Dakota, attempted to assassinate President Donald Trump while he was visiting the state. The guy stole a forklift from an oil refinery and drove towards the presidential motorcade. After the forklift became jammed within the refinery, he fled on foot and was arrested by the police. He admitted his intent to murder the president by flipping the presidential limousine with the stolen forklift.
That's pretty silly.
I don't know if people realize, like, how decked out the fucking presidential motorcade is. Like, that shit is fucking solid.
Oh, yeah.
In other political news, though, so I had mentioned this previously, we made a fun little bit of it, but Tanner, are the Haitian immigrants actually trying to eat people's pets?
Unconfirmed so far. I've seen enough evidence. I think the claim that they're like stealing geese and ducks from public parks and eating those is pretty much confirmed. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen enough evidence to like fully convince me of pets, but right now, like, you either are believing, some 911 calls and city council testimonies by, a couple dozen citizens, or you're believing, like, the city council being like, no, we didn't fuck up, everything's chill, I think we're in a real where there's smoke, there's fire situation here, so personally, I'm choosing to believe they are eating the dogs.
This is not a reality I choose to live in, but it is the reality I'm forced into. Yeah, I mean... It's definitely, because, like you all said with the whole fire thing, it's just like, when you see videos of, like, the opposition occurring, like, I saw, after the whole, like, Haitians eating pets thing, and, like, there was, like, this police body cam video of, like, these guys arresting somebody, and they just said, like, yeah, there was this they had this person's cat, and there was, like, she was eating it, and, like, they were just trying to question the person, and they literally were not responding at all. So, it's kind of like, why would people really make that kind of stuff up? That's kind of a egregious thing to make up. Nobody wants to see dead animals, nobody wants to see dead pets, much rather, say these stories. These are quite harsh accusations to make, so I would be hard-pressed to believe that these stories are more formulated than not.
Yeah. That's a good point that I've brought up before, is like, why would they make this up? And the answer the mainstream media is giving us is like, I guess all of the people in Springfield, Ohio are racist.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, I guess unless everybody there is just trying to be racist, in which case, whatever. But I don't think it's quite that intense to have stories like that brought up.
I think it's I don't know. I'm glad it's getting talked about, because, like, even if the pet thing turns out to be, like, a complete lie, like, the fact of the matter is Springfield, Ohio had a population of 58,000 people, and then in the course of 4 years, someone imported 20,000 immigrants to that city.
Someone.
I mean, yeah, we don't know how they got there.
Just some random guy brought him in on a big old truck.
It could be, like, the local factory owner of some shit. I saw this, like, man on the street news thing where he was, like, going around town talking to the different, Haitians and townspeople, and I really wish he had asked them, where are they finding work? Because it's not obvious to me where they are finding work. Because, like, a lot of them, when he talks to them, they're like, no, I'm not getting any money from the government. And then he's like, well, how are you affording this place? I'm like,
They're all street performers.
Yeah, exactly. Every single one of them.
It's a big street performance.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
From what I've been seeing and hearing, allegedly, this whole pets thing is, like, wildly blown out of proportion and just, like, a big amalgamation of a bunch of different news stories that aren't really credible. That's what I've been hearing about it. I think the jury's still out on this overall.
Yeah, it could just be a lot of political
drama. Because the thing is, like, Haitians do eat cats in Haiti, so, like, is it that big of a leap to say maybe they, got a couple here?
Probably not.
And on the off chance that they did get a couple here, is it really that big of a deal? Like, wild cats just roaming around the street are a pretty massive issue generally. So, like, if they're getting rid of them, then what's the big deal, guys?
Dude, that's the other angle some, like, news organizations and lefties are taking. Yeah, I've seen that shit. Like, some of them are hedging their bets on whether or not this is true, and so they're like, don't you guys hunt?
Oh, that was the end of it. I mean...
No, that's the argument. People will be like, dude, they're fucking grabbing ducks from the public park, and like, isn't duck hunting popular in Ohio? It's like, that's not...
But, like, that's fine. In countries where cats and, like, dogs and whatever are eaten, it's, like, a socially accepted norm because, A, the country is usually poor economically and they can't acquire food as well as, first world countries can, so they have to do what they can. Like, even those countries will, like, eat parts of the cow or whatever that we traditionally wouldn't. But it's also about taking the social norms from that country and bringing it to a country that doesn't have those. So if they come from a country where they eat cats, and they come to a country still eating cats, and, like, people don't put collars on their cats all the time, so who's to say that these cats on the street are street cats and house cats? So at some point, somebody's cat's gonna go missing, and they're like, well, do you put a collar on your cat to show it's yours? They're like, well, no, I don't. And then it becomes, like, a big, like, nothing sandwich where it's like, well, how are they supposed to distinguish the cats from each other? But regardless, it's just weird taking that social norm from that country, bringing it here. It's just not something that we see, and I would imagine that people here would find that horrendous to see, watch, or hear. So
right.
So Dylan, we already know what Tanner's answer is to this, but Dylan, if you had the opportunity, do you think you'd eat cat?
I don't think so. I think that's a little... I think with so many more options in the world of, like, food that I'm accustomed to and animals that can be eaten is a really vague statement in this context.
Everything can be eaten.
Everything can be eaten. But I would probably try to stick to what's socially acceptable in my sphere, I guess I would say.
Dude, if I was visiting a foreign country, I'd probably be down to eat a cat.
Listen, dude.
For some reason, the idea of eating one in the U.S. is just, like, off to me, though.
Right, and because that makes sense. If I was to go to a country and somebody served me food and I ate it and I thought it was good, and then I found out afterward that it was cat, I'm probably not gonna lose my shit, but, like, it's probably something I'll be more cautious about moving forward when I'm in that country, What if it's a dog? I don't know if I'd be okay with that.
I'd totally eat dog. The thing, I hear that if you eat dog for the rest of your life, dogs can just tell that you did that shit. I don't know if that's true. That sounds crazy, but
I don't want to risk it, though,
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know if I need to be starting a vendetta with an entire species for the rest of my life, you know?
Yeah, not a good call considering pit bulls literally kill people.
That's a controversial statement to make, Dylan.
It is a controversial
Pit bull
statement.
owners are going to be very upset with you.
I know, not all pit bulls are bad. I genuinely think it's how they're raised, but there is... I don't even remember if this is... I don't want to make this...
Just to be clear, we're an anti-pit bull podcast, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Good.
I'm sorry, Dylan, you're outnumbered here. You're going to have
Damn.
to take up the stance of being anti-pit bull too now.
God
We think all
damn
pit
it.
bulls should be sterilized so that the breed eventually just dies out entirely.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Ultimately, though, this entire conversation's a big PSA for you folks at home. Keep your cats indoors if you really care about them that much. Don't have outdoor cats, just have indoor ones instead. Also, a secondary PSA here, don't do Galaxy Gas, guys. Just don't do it. Like, come on, what are you thinking?
What the fuck is that shit, by the way? I've seen one video and I was like, I don't understand what's happening.
You're familiar with Whippets, right?
Yeah.
It's like that, but like cranked up to 11. It's just big-ass fucking canisters of this shit, and they look flavored or whatever. So it's like, yeah, I want to kill my brain cells off of some pina colada-flavored gas.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't the thing with Whippets is it's like a 7-second high and you instantly kill thousands of brain cells?
Yes, the reason it gets you high is because it just fucking manhandles your brain.
Isn't
Jesus.
Whippets like CO2 canisters or some shit like that?
Yes.
Fuck.
Uh,
Wait, so people are doing this what is you said Galaxy Gas? People are doing this
Yeah,
shit?
Galaxy Gas, that's the big
it's-
thing. It's the hot thing on the market right now.
It's
this is... it seemed like a branded canister.
Yes.
Is this legal?
Yeah, because they advertise, don't do this.
Okay.
By the way, you're not allowed to do
Right.
that. You're supposed to like put this in whipped cream or whatever.
okay, I
Wow.
guess that makes sense, but
Yeah.
oh my god.
What... I... Obviously, you know, they're not advertising as, like, you know, get high or whatever. What are they advertising it as, though?
Like I said, I think there's advertising is like you can make whipped cream or some shit with it.
See, and
Ridiculous.
this is a little of a sidetrack, just a personal thing. This is why I don't like you see people squirt like easy cheese or like whipped cream in their mouth from the fucking canisters. I don't fucking do that shit because you get the byproduct CO2 that comes out of the can with it. So like in case you don't want the bad flavor, you know, kill your brain cells. Don't eat easy cheese or whipped cream out of the cans. It'll fucking kill your brain cells.
Have you considered this yummy?
Yeah, you know what also is yummy? You could squirt it on like a plate and then eat it off a plate. There's also that.
And just lick it off.
Yeah,
exactly.
you know, I'm not... Or just buy whipped cream in a tub, you know?
Yeah, you could do that. How long has it been since you guys have had, like, spray cheese?
I don't know if I've ever had it, to be honest.
It's... God,
I need
it's
to
been
go
a
get
while.
you some, Jackson.
Like middle school, I think, to be honest. I can still taste it, though.
I'm probably, like, middle, maybe even elementary school. It has been a hot second.
Yeah, same here.
It's one of those flavors you just can't forget, though, to be completely
Oh, yeah.
honest.
We gotta go get ourselves some spray cheese and Ritz crackers.
Yeah.
No. Chicken and a biscuit. That shit's the
Oh,
best
you're
crackers
right.
in existence. Oh, my God.
Anyway.
So, you guys see the PlayStation 4 Pro or 5, I mean? The PlayStation
Yeah, the
5
5 Pro.
big reveal?
Oh, that stupid shit.
Wasn't it revealed in, like not... It was, like, some sort of, like, investor tech show-off or something?
Yeah, some
Like, it
shit
wasn't...
like that.
It wasn't, like, it wasn't something directed at the people buying it, you know? Mm-hmm. Weird.
Interesting call.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't...
All I see is people clowning on it. Clowning on it specifically because it doesn't seem that much more powerful.
Yeah.
At least not to justify the price point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember back in high school, the whole argument was, like, PC players are like, consoles are just going to become PCs at some point, so you might as well just get it over with and buy a PC now. And that's, like, the whole, like, third-party console war thing. And now it's really just starting to look like, hey, you might as well get a PC because all of these, especially if they're going to start taking away the disk drives, these consoles are just turning into PCs. And I didn't know what justified the $700, but it sounds like nothing, so I don't know.
But dude, picture this. Your games will be slightly more crisp looking now.
I mean,
does that
but,
do
like,
anything for you?
4K games, unless, what is it, 8K? Or is it still 4K?
Oh yeah, dude, they are 8K compatible apparently.
Who the fuck has an 8K TV?
I know, 8K TVs are so expensive, dude. Like, that's the other issue, is when you get these new consoles, you just have to buy an expensive, like, $6,000+ TV to compensate for the console you just bought that you just dropped $750 on. But I was like, it's really sad how short-lived the steel cases were, because a lot of these consoles and companies are trying to convert strictly to digital play only. I was just saying that strictly because, like, I thought steel cases were the shit, and I really wish they had made more and had their time in the sun, but alas, I think that time has come and gone.
Dude, they're pretty badass. I'm a big fan of them as well. Speaking of games that came out, though, guys...
Yeah.
Whoa.
Astrobot came out as well. That's a big PlayStation exclusive, and people are loving it right now. Have you heard about this game?
Oh yeah, people are eating that shit up.
Yeah, it's very funny that big, like, Sony exec or whatever the fuck was talking about, like, we just don't have any, like, IPs or anything like that, guys. PlayStation, we just don't got nothing. And Astrobot comes out, and it is literally a game that is meant to, like, celebrate Sony's history and shit like that, and all the cool games that they've had on their consoles. And it's like, wow, Sony, if only you had a bunch of cool games that you could make nowadays, man. Like, if only there were a game that came out that, like, talked about all these cool games and showed off, oh hey, you remember Legend of Dragoon? Why don't you make another one of those, I guess.
Gotta say, you're saying all this, and all I'm seeing in my head is Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and Jak and Daxter.
They're also in there, Dylan. They're there too. So is, like, Ratchet and Clank and shit. People love it.
It's not like... I do think about, like, where the transition from Xbox or PlayStation to Xbox went, but, like, yeah, the statement of, like, we have no IPs as Sony was, like, the craziest statement, and I was conflicted as to whether or not they should continue the old IPs or not, because I think we talked about before how some, like, movie franchises or game I think we even talked about this 2 episodes ago, where sometimes they stretch it along too far and it just runs out of runway and they keep going, or, like, in some cases where it's games, like, they can... Actually, I don't even remember what conclusion we came to, whether it was games or movies. That
video games good, movies bad. That's what the conclusion was.
So then never mind. Ignore what I said. Just keep making games as long as it makes sense. I'm looking at you, Gears of War. You're starting to run out of road. Nico thinks otherwise, but I think you're running out of road. I think their newest one's going to be great, though. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's what you say about each of them. Unfortunately, though, guys, Astrobot is not without its fair share of criticism. One of the big things that people are criticizing, apparently, is that it's just too hard. It's a real tough platformer. From what I've seen, it seems very basic. So the criticism being launched at those people is now just that, well, most, like, big Sony games are just, like, narrative bullshit that, the game basically controls itself. So maybe you're just too used to that and you don't know how to play an actual game, which I think, there might be some validity to that, but,
Yeah, I mean, it can't be harder than fucking Crash Bandicoot 4. That was the last difficult platformer I played.
Oh, yeah. In addition to that, so as I said previously, this game is, a big celebration of Sony shit, and they have a bunch of cute little characters that represent various Sony franchises, and one of those characters is from the game Days Gone. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this game or if you really recall it at all, but, it was just some fucking basic-ass zombie game that came out a few years ago, and... it's nice that, like, these people remembered the game and decided to, throw a little cameo of it into there, but apparently the game director thinks otherwise, and he's pretty pissed to see it in there.
Yeah, that guy, bro's going through it from what I saw. Isn't, like, I don't know, his deal is that, like, he feels he really got shafted by Sony because the game, like, sold pretty well, actually. And they were like, nah, we're just not gonna do another one, and he's seemingly pretty pissed off about that.
Yeah.
And so, I guess he, saw his character show up in this game, and he thought it was, like, patronizing or something.
They put this little fucking robot into this game instead of making another Days Gone zombie thing. Come on, what the fuck is wrong with you, Sony?
Right. That is if I ever get back into console gaming, that's a game I want to check out, because I feel like it's right up my alley.
Yeah. You do seem like you'd be into some real basic shit, I suppose.
Jesus.
Yeah. Every game Nico plays is, the most obscure, game no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, dude.
He doesn't play anything massively popular like the fucking Binding of Isaac or whatever.
I'm real into Tower of Druaga recently. That shit's pretty fire.
In other gaming news, I hesitate to even bring this up because I don't want to, but I guess it'll give us.
Let's keep the Destiny talk to a minimum. We talk about this game way too much, given that only you play it.
I mean, I don't think we talk about it way too much. When was the last time we talked about it?
Like a few episodes ago.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll only bring up one bit of news that I heard, then I'll save my other bit of news for later, considering that one's more relevant, because I don't have as much info on it. Yeah, so I guess a small piece of news in that avenue is, because we're aware that, or at least I'm aware that, Bungie just basically kill-shotted all of its other projects except for Marathon and Destiny, because Destiny is the only thing making it money right now, and Marathon is supposed to be its next thing that makes it money. Except for some project they were working with NetEase on, which is a mobile phone company, or I guess a mobile app company. So I guess there's just gonna be some fucking Destiny mobile game that nobody knows anything about except the title. We don't know what kind of game it's going to be. We just know that it's gonna be some Destiny mobile app, and that's it.
I'm so excited for a Destiny gacha game.
That's what everybody thinks
fire.
it's gonna be. They're like, it can't be, because a lot of the big, like, Destiny streamers and Destiny content creators are like, you can't play Destiny on mobile. Like, it's not like all these other games. But, like, it could be gacha games are the only thing that makes sense. He's like, there was one guy, he was like, oh yeah, it could be a tower defense. I'm like, that seems a little out there, but I guess
Dylan, have you considered that there's, like, Call of Duty mobile?
Yeah, I was gonna say, why couldn't it just be Destiny but on mobile?
There's a little bit
hook
more.
up a fucking controller to a phone.
That's also true. I mean, to me, I feel like hooking up a controller to a phone is pointless. I guess unless you just value.
I think you're just underestimating the scale that mobile games are at this point. There's literally just full-on AAA game level quality shit on mobile.
But
I wouldn't be shocked if it was just a scaled down, toned down version of Destiny.
It's just Destiny Flappy Bird.
But also just the data load and the server load that would be on your phone, and just how much graphics it would have to handle, it would just not perform well.
Yeah, but like they pointed out, Call of Duty is on mobile phones.
They had Apex Legends
Destiny
mobile as well.
Yeah, is Destiny that much? I don't actually. Destiny, I think objectively isn't that much crazier than.
For
Call
some
of Duty.
reason, Bungie's really bad at making their games smaller. I constantly bring up this fact when I talk to either Jackson or my Destiny friends. I was like, what's crazy is that Destiny has to sit here and vault all of their old content. You can't do any of it. You can't experience any of it. Yet you have games out here like Warframe and Final Fantasy XIV that have every bit of content that's ever existed in this game ever accessible from day one, minute one of you starting the game. So I don't understand how Bungie's unable to do the things that these other games are doing, considering these other games are sizably larger. But yeah, I mean, I guess it could just very well be a Call of Duty mobile game, but it would be very funny if it was a gacha game, and we're not sure how it's gonna make any money, because that's really all Bungie needs to do right now is make money, because it's a
microtransactions. That's how they're gonna make it.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Yeah, they're just blowing all their money on stupid shit, so now they're focusing all their money on one project, so people are thinking that'll align them, which bleeds into the other topic, but I'll save that for later.
By the way, Bungie, another Sony acquisition. They just keep taking L's lately, it sounds like. Ooh, we're going full circle, boys.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning before when you guys keep talking about all these Sony pitfalls. I'm like, damn, Sony just cannot catch a fucking break, I guess.
To be clear, they're still wildly successful, though, so I guess they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think they're successful enough in other areas to where they lose doesn't really matter all that much.
Dylan, are you going to play Marathon when that comes out?
No, I don't. I haven't played a lot of extraction shooters. I'd probably have to try one out and see how I feel about it. I almost got into, the fuck was it? Was it literally just Rainbow Six Extraction? Is that what Rainbow Sixes was supposed to be? You guys remember that one?
Yeah, the game that flopped hard. No one liked it.
The fucking Alien one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I was gonna try to get into that, but I just never did.
Do you guys remember Call of Duty Zombies? They should do that again.
Dude, that is a funny thing to bring up is, because we're talking about gaming, I've literally not spoken at all this episode, so might as well say something. I don't really care. I don't really play COD anymore, but the last Modern Warfare game that came out had zombies in it, which is completely, it's throwing a fucking wrench in the formula here. They normally have something else, but no, this one had zombies for whatever reason. But it was basically just the Warzone map, you know, their Battle Royale, but with zombies on it. It was really fucking basic. People weren't a huge fan of it. It was pretty bad for most people. I played it a bit. It was really fucking boring. It was not nearly as engaging as normal zombies and like any of their other games. And of course, people did not like that. But of course, because of their cycle where they're already making the next game after the current one's already being produced, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, or whatever it's called, that's coming out in November, is basically using the exact same formula, and people are fucking pissed about it. I am seeing so many posts constantly of people just like doing comparisons of like, here's what Black Ops 3 zombies look like, and then they cut to Black Ops 6 and it's just like wandering around some big empty space with nothing happening. Yeah. It's pretty sad how far we've fallen.
True.
We used to be a real country.
Exactly. How'd you feel about them old Call of Duty Black Ops zombies though, Jackson? Were you big into them?
I was really into it in Black Ops 2. I played a little bit of Black Ops 3, and Black Ops 3 Zombies on PC is actually sick because it has a map editor, and you can use and import like custom maps, so there's all sorts of crazy shit. Like I was playing with my friends on fucking like Rust, like the Modern Warfare map in Zombies. It's pretty silly.
That's cool.
So there's a lot of replayability there.
Hell yeah,
I think Black Ops 4 Zombies I maybe played as well, and that wasn't terrible. But maybe I'm just conflating that with 3. But I think Zombies is fun. I think it's a cool time.
Yeah, I was looking back at those old Zombies maps back in the day, like the other week or so. I was watching like some fucking compilation of like how to do the secret Easter egg cool ending bullshit in every single COD map or whatever the fuck. And like, fuck, dude, looking back at those things, they're obscenely esoteric and I don't actually like them at all.
Yeah, no, they really went hard on like the Easter egg thing because it was like an early design trope they had, and then they're like, okay, people like this thing, so we're just gonna make it even more convoluted, so it makes it harder for them to like solve the mystery quick, and it just gets to a point where it's fucking ridiculous. Like you have to have some like gigabrain theory crafters and like a team of people that are trying to solve the mystery here. I think Black Ops 2 is like the last Easter eggs that like really made sense because there was a lot of hints and stuff for what you can do, and I could see like a regular player actually putting a lot of the pieces together and just getting it done by themselves. But after that, it was just total fucking chaos.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing, though, putting the pieces together, because I was looking at these and it's like, so many of these, there is zero rhyme or reason behind why you have to do any of this shit whatsoever. I don't know why they decided to do it this way.
Yeah, I think Origins was like the last like comparable example of that, where it looks complicated on the surface, but when you actually look at it, it like logically makes sense. And I think that one's one of my favorites. That's one of the more fun ones for sure.
Origins is fucking cool, dude.
Yeah. Lightning staff for life, boy. What, Tanner?
It's ruined. I was trying to make a fucking joke about the kind of nonsensical bullshit you have to do in the maps, but it's okay.
He just kept trying to shoehorn a fucking bit in here. Tanner, I'm the bit guy who shoehorns them in. Unlike you, though, I have control over the podcast, and I can insert laugh tracks and make you guys laugh whenever I make these dumb bits.
You don't have my laugh recorded. You're high.
I have like 4 different variants of your laugh so that you can't tell when I use it.
God damn it, why do I have so many
funny.
different laughs? Tanner has 1.
Tanner also has like 5 of them that I use.
What? I
Oh,
only
boy.
ever hear 1 laugh. This is crazy.
Can you play everyone's different laughs you have all at the same time right now?
Wow, that was pretty sweet. Some of them go on a bit long, so, you know.
Oh, that's fun. Do you have ones of yourself?
No, because you see, unlike you guys, generally when I laugh, it's just to acknowledge that a joke is being made. So I'm just constantly laughing at just random shit, just because, like, oh, okay, you know, I'm bringing a more fun atmosphere to the whole thing, you know. So it's pretty unnecessary for me to do it. On the off chance, like, you know, just nobody laughed at a joke or whatever the fuck, I can just use one of your guys instead. But
AKA, you guys fucking suck at riffing off me. I'm the fucking goat.
that's exactly it, Jackson. You're right. You're so fucking right.
I'm sorry, Jackson. I wish I understood you more. I apologize. We should go out sometime.
Let's literally go out right now. I'm gonna come down there right now.
Yeah, and as you guys are going out, I think a fun little activity you could do is maybe take a trip on down to the movies.
To the movies?
Is it actually time for that?
Yeah, sure, why
Kinda.
not?
Why not?
We had a kind of, I mean, I don't know. I have one last thing I wanted to bring up that leads into it.
Alright, make it quick. I don't want to be late for my date, Tanner.
Okay. So I started doing this thing when I'm working at Amazon where I'm listening to, different bands' entire discographies. And this week I listened to all of the Beatles music. I listened to all of Queen's music. And then I'm in the process of listening to all of Michael Jackson's music. And, it's pretty interesting, going to these mega bands that I'm familiar with but haven't heard everything and seeing what they really got. I was very surprised with Queen that, like, the second you wander outside of the, 10 of their songs that everyone knows, there's, nothing I'm really all that into.
And even within those, it's like, who the fuck actually likes Radio Gaga? What's wrong with you people?
That's true.
Did you hear Dragon Attack, Tanner? Is that one of them?
Dragon Attack.
Dragon Attack.
Doesn't ring a bell.
That's probably because you forgot about it. Understandable.
Yeah, probably. There were only, 2, I think, where I was like, I like this enough to add to my liked songs. 2 outside of the big ones, I mean,
What are the big ones? Let's hear them, Tanner.
The big ones are, Bohemian Rhapsody, Under Pressure, We Are the Champions, Another One Bites the Dust, Fat Bottom Girls, Radio Gaga is one of their big ones. I agree, it's not that good of a song.
Yeah. Killer Queen, I think, is another one.
Yeah, Killer Queen is a big
one.
one. I've got to break free. That one's a bigger-ish one. That's probably on the lower end of their big ones. I don't know. Is there anything else? We Will Rock You. That's one. But yeah. And then with the Beatles, pretty impressive showing overall, I'd say. About 20 of their songs were good enough for me to give a like to, which is about 10% of their music, which I think is good. I don't know.
Did you listen to a bunch of their solo stuff as well?
No, I didn't do their solo stuff.
Okay.
Surprisingly, a lot of people say the White Album is their best album, but outside of the 5 big hits from that album, I was like, damn, I don't like this shit at all.
Dude, you weren't a big fan of Revolution 60 or whatever the fuck?
It's Revolution 9, and yeah, that's not a song. It fucking sucks. That was them getting too high.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, what if we just make a collection of random noises and it's a song? But they got plenty of bops. And then Michael Jackson, what the fuck? Holy shit. Just banger after banger. There are 1 or 2 songs so far, and I've listened to about 8 hours of him where I'm like, I'm not into this song. Every single other song, I'm like, damn, this is a fucking banger.
No wonder they call him the King of Pop.
Pre or post allegations?
So far, all pre. I think I'm in the middle of the album Smooth Criminal.
Okay.
Actually, isn't all of his music gonna be pre-allegations?
I think so. I don't know. I just thought I'd make the joke.
Did you also listen to him during the Jackson 5 era?
They have solo albums of his from when he's a child, yes.
Huh.
I don't think anything that was released as Jackson 5 is in the playlist I'm listening to.
Gotcha.
It's very funny when he's a child because he's doing a lot of love songs.
Yeah.
But you're listening to him and like, damn, this is a great love song, and then you're like, he's 8. He possibly doesn't even know what he's saying.
Yeah.
Or maybe he did.
But yeah.
I don't understand. Why did he let her go if he wants her back now? I'm really confused here.
Yeah, and obviously everyone fucking knows this. I'm the one who's just now actually diving into his music, but I'm like, damn. This guy not only was a generational talent, he's probably a multi-generational talent. I don't know if we'll ever get another one of these motherfuckers. It's fucking insane.
Dude, Childish Gambino?
I was gonna say Bruno Mars,
Do people
but okay.
say that about him? Bruno Mars definitely styles himself the current Michael Jackson, but
he's a very talented artist, dude.
What does Bruno Mars has that's on par with Thriller or Billie Jean?
I think that's a subject to opinion, so...
What's your opinion? Do you think any of Bruno Mars's music comes close to either of those?
Yeah, I have a particular favorite song of his that I like.
Anyway, I don't know. You guys got any comments about music, or is that just me sharing a little life story?
Dude, I think that Bo Burnham might just be the next Michael Jackson.
No. Well,
yeah, that's
maybe,
a talented
actually.
guy right there.
Wouldn't Bo Burnham be the next Weird Al?
No.
There you go.
Okay.
Not until Weird Al is in the grave. He's not going to allow himself to be usurped.
Clearly.
Speaking of the Beatles.
The Beatles?
Yeah, the Beatles. Time for us to listen to the Beatles over at Guapish at the movies.
Guapish at the movies.
Yesterday. All my troubles.
I got fucking decision paralysis over which Beatles song I should do.
Yeah.
Hey Jude.
We all live in a yellow submarine. A yellow submarine.
I didn't
gonna
even
say, why
sing
not-
that one.
Why not just choose the song that's titled after the movie?
Hey, Bungalow Bill, who did you kill?
Did the Beatles write the Capitol Hill song?
They did,
What?
yeah.
I knew it. Anyways, yeah, we watched some fantastic movie this week. Of course, the best movie this week was the Patreon request, as requested by Sway by Jay, the 1992 film Toys, which I guess I'll talk about. So we've got a toy factory owner. They make toys. He dies. He ends up transferring it over to one of his friends in the military, who then starts turning the toy factory into basically just a fucking factory to train kids to pilot drones that he's going to be selling to the military to remotely kill people and cause terror, because, you know, that sounds badass. And then, of course, we have Robin Williams, our protagonist, and he is trying to stop this from happening. And that's basically it. The hijinks ensue. This is a very artsy, strange movie. I'm not selling it very well, but
Fun fact, this movie was the theatrical debut of Jamie Foxx.
Whoa.
Interesting.
I had
Yeah.
an idea like this military generals in high school.
What?
What?
Yeah, you know, like, I was like, why don't they, if kids are so good at video games, why don't they have them pilot, like, drones and stuff
Oh,
like
that's
that?
okay.
Oh, okay.
That's what you're saying.
What did you
I
think I
wonder.
meant?
I didn't understand what. All I heard was like generals in high school, and I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about?
I guess I did not come across the way I intended it. My apologies.
Second fun fact: this movie, in fact, did predate like drone technology. So
That's what I was like. I was thinking that too. I was like, dude,
Make
drones
of that
even
what you will.
exist? It'd be funny if the military got the idea for drones from this movie.
That'd be so fucking funny, dude. Yeah, this movie is excessively strange.
Yes.
It's fucking bizarre. Something I was wondering the entire time we were watching this is I just don't know who the fuck this movie is for, you know?
Did Robin Williams produce this movie?
Yeah.
I think
Or
he only
directed
started it.
He only starred in it?
No.
Dude, it feels like he wrote this movie. Just because everything in this movie is like his comedy act. Like everything, like his entire personality feels like shaped this movie, is what it felt like to me. So I agree. I have no clue who the target audience of this movie is. I don't know how I'm supposed to like rate the movie. I thought it was fine. I thought it was entertaining. It's a 90s movie. I don't know what really to expect from it. I thought the ideas and everything were creative. I think the toys and their like mechanical engineering designs, like how they performed in the actual movie itself, was fine. I don't know how to go about this movie.
It feels very Tim Burton-esque.
Almost.
Kinda.
I can agree with
Like
that.
in terms of that, it has this really wacky style to it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really struggling to think of what to say because it is such a weird thing. Like the plot is fucking it's something.
Were
you know?
they on drugs when they made this movie?
Right. It's pretty entertaining, I guess, for most of it. There are a couple boring parts where it just slows down too much. The plot is there, I guess. There's some goofy stuff. I don't know what the fuck to say about this movie, man.
They have a scene where Robin Williams makes sweet love to that woman who's like half his age.
They do have that in
why
it.
was there a fucking sex in this movie? That felt so strange.
That's
And then
what
there
I'm
was just
saying.
The fucking robot in there. Such a like. Who is that? Who is this movie targeted for? Not kids.
Yeah, clearly not.
It's too weird and fantastical for I think most adults to be into it.
Exactly.
Dude, the 90s were a wild time. You have no clue what kind of shit people were into back then. You should ask your parents.
Yeah, hey Dad, have you ever seen Toys?
I do want to mention LL Cool J was consistently very funny to me.
He was a very odd addition. I saw him in the cast and I was like, him with Robin Williams, I can't see this like pair going together very well. And I was positively surprised with his performance in this movie.
Yeah. What do you know? They went as well together as like chocolate and peanut butter.
I'd say bananas.
That should
and
be our
honey,
entire
but...
review for this film on Letterboxd.
There you go. I don't even post like any words to our letterbox. I just put the letter rankings.
Do it for this one only.
There we go.
Are you able to put links?
Yeah, I put links to the episode.
There we go. You should put links to the specific episode reviews, you coward.
They don't go up soon enough.
Dude.
Just remember.
Edit them in post.
Oh my god.
Anyways. I think LL Cool J was fine. This movie is weird as fuck. Honestly, it has a lot of charm to it. The sets, I think, are the most impressive thing about this movie. Just with what they're going for. But they're also very 90s still.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
that's part of the 90s charm.
Yeah, I think this movie kind of just didn't really know what it wanted to do. I feel like they didn't particularly know how to, like, end it properly.
Yeah.
The final scene... Where the final scenes were dumb as fuck. Where, like, we're just watching a bunch of, like, robots walk around and explosions and shit, and then our characters are reacting to it. It just felt like they just completely lost all direction with what they were trying to do. And the build-up to it was just kind of whatever. I don't know. This movie was just kind of like, it was weird, wonky, crazy stuff, and then about the 25% mark to the end, it's just dumb.
Yeah, especially all that shit that they were hyping up with, like, the water pig or whatever what was that thing called?
Sea swine?
Yeah, the sea swine. Yeah, where it's like, oh no, the sea swine's escaped. Oh no, this is going to be crazy. There's going to be a big confrontation with the sea swine. And then it just, like, kind of pops up and just jump scares us into the ending of the film.
Yeah, it fucking domes his sister, who's a robot for no reason.
Yeah.
Outside of just to, like, fulfill a bit, I guess, at the start of the movie where he's talking about her not changing appearance. And then he fucking shoots the bad guy, and it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very fun. Bad guy doesn't die, by the way. Very strange.
Very strange. I'm wondering what happened in that altercation, but...
This movie evidently was a massive flop.
I wonder why.
It had a budget of $43 million, and it says the worldwide gross was about $23 million, so pretty bad.
Bonus fun fact, this is the last film that Robin Williams was in before he passed away.
Is that true?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I've only seen movies of his after this one came out.
They were all filmed before.
Yeah.
They just took a really long time
I'm pretty
to come out.
I keep wanting to say Zathura. Why the hell can't I remember the name of the movie?
Jumanji.
Wait, was that actually
That's very
after?
funny. Who knows? Are we ready to rank?
Yeah,
I guess?
sure. I'll fucking kick off the rankings here for us. I go give it a C, I guess.
Dude, that's crazy. I also gave it a C for probably the same reasons.
Cool.
God, so awful. Fuck it, I'll give it a C.
Whoa.
Nice.
I'm going to be slightly lower than you guys and give it a C- personally.
Damn.
Holy cow. Where does it land?
C.
No way.
Holy
Crazy.
shit. I don't believe it.
Put like a mic drop sound effect after I say C there, Nico.
Okay.
Edit that in.
We need
for me.
more sound effects. Damn it.
Can you insert a sound effect of one of those monkeys with the symbols?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I should just like get a
Thank you.
soundboard for the podcast that I'm constantly playing wacky sounds on. We should become like a fucking shock jockey podcast or something.
There we go.
Just turn us
That'd
into
be
the
great.
next Johnny Test, dude. It's like constantly clicking a fucking button.
Yeah, sir.
Whiplash sound effect. What's the next movie we watched?
Nico's pick of the week was the 2019 film Yesterday.
No, it wasn't.
Holy shit. Oh yeah, you're right. Tanner's pick of the week actually was the
Yikes.
2019 film Yesterday. I got the two mixed up. Whoops.
Yesterday is the story of a struggling musician who gets hit by a bus and then wakes up only to discover the Beatles no longer exist. And so he decides to become famous by just playing their music, and hijinks ensue. Fun fact, the Liverpool International Airport that we see in the film, in real life is actually the Liverpool John Lennon Airport.
Oh.
What an ode.
Bonus fun
Yeah.
fact on that topic, the John Lennon who we see in this film is actually John Lennon. They managed to get him to come back to reprise his role in this film.
Yeah, they brought him back from the dead. I think this is a delightful little film.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
I guess some criticisms. I wish it went a bit harder in the paint with some of its decisions. Ultimately, like, I specifically think with the romance, ultimately I'm fine with where it landed, where he decided to give up the fame in order to gain the girl. I kind of wish that they hadn't, just a little prior to that, really made her go, it's fucking over, we're done for, it's never happening. Yeah. I think if they left it a bit more like, oh, he does still have a chance, it would have come across better. Yeah. I also wish they had played up the, like, him losing himself in the fame and feeling like a fraud thing. Yeah. It's that those elements are there. I don't think they go into them quite as deeply as I would really like from this movie.
Yeah, it feels like they did. My turn to talk because I'm the one that's the most loud, I guess, right now. I do think it is weird how they really like build up a lot of tension with the Russian guy and then like the old British woman, and then the whole point of that, all of that, I guess, was just to be some touching scene. But I feel like they could have done a lot more with that whole setup than they did, especially because they kind of just like, they give him like a really easy out to just totally be fine with what he's doing right now. Like, it makes it even like his ending decision less justified, honestly, in my eyes. Mm-hmm. Like, the people that do remember spontaneously still are like totally fine with what he's doing and they appreciate it. Like, obviously, that's a very, what's the word? Like he like donated all of like the Beatles songs to society, and that's cool and whatever, and he's fine with not the fame. But like, why not have both? Why not have your cake and eat it too?
I kind of like what they ended up doing with them, where they're like, well, we just like that the music gets to exist again. I like that sort of stance there. Mm-hmm. I kind of agree. They could have done something a bit more interesting with those characters.
Especially since like, they mention while those characters are, speaking to him about the shit, is they're like, without the Beatles, the world is so much infinitely worse, so we're happy that you're bringing their music still. But, like, nothing about the world really seems different whatsoever without the Beatles in it.
Oh, no, people don't smoke anymore!
Yeah, it's like a weird forced agenda kind of feeling, even though it's not really... don't take that word for word when I say that.
Pro-Beatles agenda. Big Beatle.
When they word it as, the world is just worse without the Beatles, it kind of almost pushes, like, the plot of this movie a little too hard, I think. And I was really, like, trying to look for Easter eggs throughout the movie of, like, why certain things just didn't exist. Like cigarettes was one thing, Coke was another thing, like, certain random figures. And I was trying to pick apart this movie, trying to figure out, like, okay, is there a reason these don't exist? Like, what's this? And then I was really hoping they'd break into the backstory of the two random people who also got there, like, how they got there, and for some reason...
I think that would have been pretty far outside the scope of this movie and would have been a real distraction had they done that.
I also expected this movie to go in a different direction. No, I'm not saying I'm displeased with how the movie ended, but I expected this to end with, like, some kind of either, like, psycho trip where it was just, like, he got hit by the bus and he'd been in a trance the whole time and he realized, the life... I mean, either way, this is the result he got, but, like, he realized the life he was trying to go for was not the life he would have wanted.
Yeah, I was fully expecting he, like, goes back to his world and he had, like, learned a lesson or something. So I thought it was kind of unique for these sorts of, like, oh, I got teleported somewhere weird story where he does stay, and so his choices actually kind of matter to the world, you know?
Which was super cool. And, like, I formulated, like, an ending where I was like, wouldn't it be funny, like, sometime, like, in his sleep, he got reverted back to his own world, but, like, was going where he was supposed to perform or whatever, he starts performing a song or something stupid, or, like, maybe in the middle of his performance, he gets ripped back to his other world, and he's, like, performing, and then he gets hit with, like, copyrights because he's back in the world where the Beatles exist or something stupid like that, whatever. I was expecting, like, a different kind of dramatic ending, but like I said, I'm not gonna press, like, what I wanted this movie to be. I still thought this movie was really good. I agree with the love interest thing, where it's like, they did a 180 where she's like, it's either me or your career, and then he made a choice, didn't make a choice, and it was kind of reflective on, like, maybe there's, like, bits of, like, the producing world or like the artist world or the celebrity world that we don't understand, or maybe there's pressures that we aren't aware of, kind of stuff, where like the artists aren't fully in control at all times. And sometimes it's just like the producers or like the agents or whatever, or the managers pushing their own agenda so they can get what they want, that like ultimately ends up ruining the lives of the artists or the producers, and then that kind of just spreads outward in a shockwave. But yeah, I thought this movie was adorable. I can't, outside of like what I just said, I can't really fault this movie for anything else. I thought it was pretty well made.
I like how their relationship like was them like starting a family and shit. I thought that was very wholesome. A lot of times movies like this, it's like, oh dude, they're gonna be together because they're like they're attracted to each other or some shit, and that's like the full depth of why they're together. One final piece of praise from me, I thought the sort of meeting John Lennon thing was done well.
Yeah, I thought that part was really sweet.
Yeah, a lot of times I get very creeped out by us, like, bringing back the dead and, like, interacting with them and, like, sort of putting, words in their mouth, essentially. But this scene didn't really trigger those feelings in me. I was like, oh, that's, like, sweet, and they gave him a nice, peaceful life, and he's not... he wasn't acting weird or whatever. Like, oh, this feels like a scene made by someone who actually like fucking cared about the Beatles and John Lennon, and I do believe one other fun fact I read was that technically they just had to pay pay whatever the record company is for the rights to use the Beatles music, but they actually did go to like Paul, Ringo, and then the estates of John and George and actually say, hey, we're making this movie with this idea, do we have your blessing about that? And they said yes, so I think that's pretty cool of them.
Yeah, that was pretty nice of them to do.
Yeah. And I guess one thing I'll add to your positive note there, back to what I was saying before about the end of the movie, how I thought it was going to go. I thought it was like a really introspective thing when he went to go visit John Lennon, because that was like, because I guess what they were trying to portray is in that world, the Beatles exist, but the individuals, or the Beatles don't exist, the individuals do. So when he seeks out John Lennon, it's kind of like a, hey, this is like the life the Beatles would have lived if they had not pursued being the Beatles. Is this the life you would want over the life you currently have? Which he was starting to realize he really hated and resented the life he was about to live. So then he got a glimpse into what his life could be, where it was just like a comfy home out on the coast, sipping coffee on a whatever morning, just enjoying the breeze, enjoying the day. And he's like, I think that's where, like, if you were like in the movie enough, you could feel like the mental click where he's like, this is what I want, this is what I have to do, and that's where his plans begin to roll into motion, which sets off the ending where he starts confessing his love to the girl, and, we saw the rest of the movie. So I thought that was a really nice introspective look to get the audience to, like, think what the movie's saying without them having to say it.
One last piece of criticism that I just remembered. Why is there a montage set to an Ed Sheeran song in this movie?
Because Ed Sheeran's a big character in the movie.
Yeah, he plays a big
part. But like...
Yeah, that was a little strange.
It should be a Beatles song. Like, you can play Ed Sheeran music because, it's a story about music or whatever, but like, when it's sort of that kind of stuff where it's music that's only for us, the audience, because the characters are not hearing it in the movie, like, let's keep it consistent and make it a Beatles song, please.
I'm sure it was like an Ed Sheeran or Ed Sheeran's agent or manager kind of thing. They were like, yeah, we could have Ed Sheeran in it, but we want his music in it too.
That'd be incredibly lame if that is the case.
I wouldn't put it past them, Tanner, to be honest.
All right, so back to a point I was trying to make previously before you piece of shit cut me off. So, when those people came to talk to him about the Beatles, and they talked to him about how, like, yeah, the world would be so much worse if the Beatles weren't in or whatever the fuck. And again, it doesn't really feel like that's the case in this world. Everything seems pretty much the same. I think it would have been really nice if, that point was illustrated a lot more with, like, something that, like, as many people say, like, oh, yeah, the Beatles, like, they inspired, like, all these great bands and stuff like that. I think it would have been really cool if it was like, oh, there are, like, all these other bands also don't exist. Like, the only fucking people who we really see is Oasis, and that's about it, where it's like, oh, Oasis apparently doesn't exist either. I think if like all these other bands also didn't exist, or like they did like fucking different things or something like that, or maybe they were much smaller than they actually were, like some sort of other music took off instead of like what we currently have, I think that sort of stuff would have been much cooler to see, and it really would have sold that idea much more.
I think part of the reason they didn't do that is just because, like, that opens up the door for so many weird, like, plot holes and people being like, well, if this is the case, then why isn't this? And why is this like this? And blah, blah, blah.
I agree.
Like,
I think all of this would be remedied if they didn't say the Beatles make this world infinitely better or whatever the fuck.
I get, they could just mean that in, like, oh, it's such nice music. It
could just be a
one
form of
other
coping.
fun fact I read is they originally were thinking, oh, let's make it so that the color purple doesn't exist in this world, and then they decided that was way too fucking complicated and immediately dropped the idea.
That'd be very fun. I would have liked if they did that.
Mm-hmm. What's purple? Bro, fucking, that would be so hilarious.
Yeah. So, okay, going back to the whole relationship that he has with Ellie in this film, okay, I do have problems with that as well here. I think it's nice how, like, things end, but I feel like it's really unclear as to why our main character never made the moves on her this entire time. Like, the only thing he really says is, oh, you know, you were like Ellie, we, like, grew up together, whatever the fuck. But, like, all these years, he just was never seemingly interested in her, apparently, until she was like, oh, I'm in love with you. And no way, I love you too, that's crazy, now that I can't have you, I want to have you, this is insane. Like, where did any of this come from?
I thought the implication was that he was in fact in love with her this entire time, he just didn't ever make the move because they never felt like it was reciprocated, which I think is understandable given her response to like the fucking sex thing when they were at the festival. I feel like that's pretty representative of how he viewed their relationship throughout them being friends. Which I understand. I think they're trying to go for, like, this is, like, a relatable issue with the audience of, like, oh, no, you like a person, but, like, you don't know if you like them, so you just, have cold feet and you never make the joke.
I mean, this might have just been a throwaway line, and it probably 100% is. I remember pretty early in the movie when they were at, like, the whatever festival she got him a gig at or whatever, he was all like, oh, she's my manager, that would just be weird. So,
yeah.
It could be a throwaway line. It could not be. I could see that being, like, a real-life complication where if they date and it doesn't work out, well, fuck up, he doesn't have a music manager anymore, or it's awkward. So
yeah, I think the point is just supposed to be like he never had the confidence to ask her out, and now he does.
I feel like we just didn't really get that though, and that's my main issue there.
The whole like bait switch with the ex, or not the ex, but like the other dude is weird as fuck too. It felt very commonplace to me.
He just seems so cool with it too.
I think it's just supposed to be a comedy beat, I guess.
It looked like he had another person or a date or whatever anyway, so I guess it didn't really matter.
He traded up, honestly. Also, I just find it very irritating how, like, these two people are just fucking never able to sit down and have a conversation with each other. They're just constantly being interrupted. It gets on my nerves.
It happens, dude.
It's very funny.
And aside from that, I do have one final complaint about this film. So, like... And by the way, Tanner took my big praise I had for, which was the John Lennon scene. That's why I sound so negative right now. I wanted to end all this with that part, but alas, you're just getting a bunch of vitriol right now. So, like, I think that really one of my biggest issues with this film is that it doesn't really feel like he's as big and famous as they keep telling us he is. And, like... Especially just like when they keep telling us that like, oh, you're like the songwriter of like the century, whatever. You're the greatest songwriter ever to exist. This is amazing. You're so fucking cool. Why exactly is that? It's just like, oh yeah, he has the Beatles songs, but like, I don't know. They don't sound that great, okay? They don't sound that absurdly different to like any of the other shit that other people are doing.
I mean, to go on with what you were saying, like they say he's the greatest songwriter. It does eventually, this was just a feeling I was getting, it did eventually feel like towards the end of the movie, when they start getting to the nitty gritty, the details of it, it's like, oh, how do you come up with like the idea for the songs? What do your songs mean? And they start to get to understand his songs, because most songs have meaning or stories behind them.
He doesn't ever explain what the songs mean or anything, though.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. He doesn't, like, he himself doesn't internalize it. So I think it's supposed to give that feeling of, yeah, why is he the greatest, like, songwriter? He doesn't have, like, the meaning to, like, back up what he's putting out, kind of thing. So it's supposed to be, like, almost like a meta, I hesitate to say meta thing, but I think the feeling you're feeling is, like, intentional. Like, I think the movie wanted that to happen, because I got the same kind of feeling.
Yeah, there maybe should have been, like, a montage of him going to massive concerts that he's headlining or something to really give off the feeling that he's as big as they're telling us he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a lot of jumping around, I guess.
Yeah, because, like, all we really got was that there was, like, a montage of, like, oh, his videos are blowing up on social media, and then also, like, when he goes to the airport, there's, like, a small group of people who chase after him. Mm-hmm. I feel like, you know, when he's, like, at the airport or some shit like that, there should have been a lot more people or something to just clue us in more as, like, just how famous he is at this point.
No, to be fair, nobody knew he was going to that airport. That was an off-the-record flight.
But why was there a group of people who chased after him when he landed?
They just, they spotted him and they were like, oh my god, there he is.
Exactly, it should have been happening more.
I don't know, dude.
Crazy stuff. Yeah, they could have had, like, you know, people constantly, like, walking up to him and being like, oh, can I have your autograph?
Yeah.
In fact, that would have been, like, a more organic way of him, like, not being able to have a conversation with Ellie.
Yeah.
It's like, in that, it kind of would have driven the point home a bit more where, you know, people are constantly coming up to him and be like, dude, oh my gosh, I'm such a big fan. He's like, I'm trying to have a conversation here. But yeah. Jackson, do you have any thoughts on this movie?
No.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cute.
Fair enough.
Honestly, I guess one thing, just like the cinematography style with it, I don't really fully grasp what Tanner's talking about when he talks about, like, the A24 style, and I know this isn't a fucking A24 film, but, like, it just had, like, I don't know, it's just like a weird, like, modern movie cinematography aesthetic to it. I don't know. I didn't really, like, jive with it super well, to be honest. But I can't really place my finger down on exactly why that is. I think some things were done well, but other things were just kind of strange to me.
Suddenly everything that Tanner's been spitting at A24 is coming together now.
This is a completely vibes-based criticism. That's barely even a criticism.
I do think eventually Jackson is 100% going to understand what I mean with my A24 criticisms, and he's going to join me.
I got it a little bit with Midsommar, but then when we watched, like, the most recent one, I didn't... Oh, fucking...
Pearl.
Yeah, Pearl. I didn't really understand what you're talking about with the context of that one.
You also really liked Midsommar, though.
Yeah, I know, but, like, that's... I don't know if that adds credence to me understanding why he doesn't like that style, I guess.
Gotcha, okay.
Anyway...
Yeah, that's our rankings of this film.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and go first. I gave this one an A-.
Wow.
Dylan, what about you?
A+.
Wow.
I thought you said this was a midweek. What?
I forgot I watched this movie.
Okay.
Anything short of S is mid to him.
No, I remember... Yeah, and go on.
I'm a little shorter on you guys. I gave it a B+ personally.
Okay.
I tried some context. I don't know anything about the fucking Beatles. I don't care about the Beatles. I've literally never listened to, like, any of their songs. You could play some lyrics, and I probably couldn't even tell you it was the Beatles. Anyways.
That's probably good context
Crazy.
to have.
Wow.
Oh man, I'm in an interesting dilemma here. I'm in between A- and B+, because I really like this film, but one thing I just can't help thinking about it is that this movie has, in my opinion, an amazing premise. I think the premise is so fucking good, and they just fall a bit short of what it could be, in my opinion. And so, director, you're not watching this, but if you are, I think you got something special here. I think, you know, just internalize all the criticisms you got in this movie and then make, like, basically a spiritual sequel where it's the exact same thing, but it's Michael Jackson instead of the Beatles, and I think you'll have a fucking banger on your hands. But, oh man, do I want to go A- or B+?
So I guess while you're thinking about that, I'll give us a bonus fun fact about this film. Which is that the original screenplay for this was very different. It was actually written by the oldest person who has ever sold a screenplay, or their first screenplay. The dude was like in his 60s or some shit like that. And this is the very first one he sold. Apparently the premise was just so strong, the dude wanted to make the film.
Dude, good for him.
And the ending is very different, I guess. Like, I don't think he ever, like, actually gets big. He just, like, it's a much more introspective piece where it's like, oh, I know all these Beatles songs, but I'm just, like, not very good. And, like, it's all my fault that I'm not doing well.
Yeah, I think I also read, in the original version of the script, it's, like, not as much a comedy, and it's way, like, sadder and darker.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad they didn't do that. I don't think that would have been very fun. Fuck, dude. I'll go A- for now.
Whoa.
That might be dropping 1 later.
Holy shit.
And that puts it at an A- overall.
Wow.
Pretty solid.
Okay, actually getting to Nico's pick of the week.
Hell
Not
yeah.
a fake out. Not a fake out this time. We've got the 1989 film Do the Right Thing.
Alrighty, boys, so I'm going to be taking on the role of your cool white literature teacher here. I'm going to turn my chair backwards and say let's have a jam sesh and talk about some race relations. So, this film, it's all about the hottest day of the summer in the hood, and racial and cultural differences are reaching their boiling point. The film follows Mookie, very strange name, but so be it, who works at a pizzeria called Sal's. And over the course of the film, we see as, petty squabbles build into a massive conflict that results in the death of a black man at the hands of the police, and the pizzeria gets burned to the ground.
Fun fact, all of the scenes with those 3 guys on the corner were improvised.
Even the part where he's talking about, them damn Koreans, why are they so successful and shit?
Probably.
Okay, that's cool.
I'm just reporting what IMDb told me.
Bonus fun fact for you guys here. Fight the Power was actually written for this film.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think I believe you on that one.
You can look it up, man. You can feel free to check it out while Dylan tells us what he thought of this movie.
Why do I have to say?
Because you're half black and we're interested.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take on the scenario.
I feel like you might bring a more interesting perspective than we would.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what you guys... this movie was kind of whatever. I think that violence begets violence was definitely a huge, role in this movie, which I think is a really dumb way to solve any problem. I think there were a lot of unnecessary squabbles. They were just stupid shit happening for no reason. This movie is obviously on the tail end of... I can't even say it's on the tail end of, civil rights movement. But you can obviously tell that this area is severely recovering from said civil rights movement. And for some reason... I didn't hear what you said. I'm going to continue on, though. But it's just for some reason, everything in this movie had to be interpreted as this person's being racist to me because X, Y, Z. And that was just the message this whole movie was trying to push. And ironically, why is the movie called Do the Right Thing when I don't think anybody ever actually did the right thing in this movie? I get, maybe the movie is trying to portray a message of, the title is a dichotomy to what the actions of the people in the movie are doing. It's hey, if you're doing any of this shit, knock it off right now. This is an example of what not to do. That's the only, reason I could see this title making sense. But there were just so many unnecessary, confrontations in this movie. And I get, there needs to be plot, there needs to be things happening. But there are just so many side stories that mean, nothing. It could be, a peer into this slice of life kind of movie, I guess. That's my only justification, I guess I'll say, for this movie. But overall, this movie was just a bunch of nothing. It doesn't particularly speak to me in any way. There was just a lot of unnecessary action. It's whatever.
Dylan got stat checked by Do the Right Thing.
You're having a lot of the same thoughts as us. We had extensive conversations on this movie after watching it. It's a very interesting film, I think, especially with what you were pointing out on the way it's written and filmed, where it is for I don't know, when does a plot actually emerge?
There's a plot?
Well, a lot of it is just really minor details that build up over time.
Yeah.
You could say the plot starts when Bugging Out, or whatever the fuck his name is, goes in initially and starts an argument, and that's right at the start of the movie.
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of it does just come across as weird, unrelated, just conversations and occurrences around town, which usually I probably wouldn't be into all that kind of stuff all that much, but honestly, the acting was good enough, and a lot of the dialogue engaging or humorous enough that it didn't really bother me all that much.
Yeah, I was definitely very interested in it. All these characters are just very charming overall. And I grew up with a lot of black media and stuff like that. So this is very reminiscent of plenty of shows and films that I've seen over the years. So, I just felt right at home in the hood here.
Lots of well-realized characters. I do have to question, there's plenty of stuff in here that I was laughing at and found funny that I have to kind of question if it was supposed to be funny, though. Like, ultimately, like, with what, Dylan has been talking about, how, like, a lot of the stuff in here didn't need to happen. I think this would be a incredibly nuanced take on these sorts of issues if it weren't for Spike Lee and a lot of the things he has said about the film after the fact.
What do you mean by that?
Because, well, I don't know if Dylan has, like, looked into interviews with him or not, but, like, it very much seems to be the case that the director, Spike Lee, intends for us to look at the way it ended and come to the conclusion that, like, destroying the restaurant was a good and justified thing, and that, like, the black people don't bear any fault in this situation at all, I guess.
I think
I don't know about that.
I mean, that's what we read his fucking words,
Well, what he was saying there was more so that sounded like just like black people will understand why, like, Mookie threw, like, the trash can through the window and, like, the black people burned the business to the ground. I don't think he's saying, like, yes, this was, like, the right thing to do necessarily, but it's definitely more so just,
disagree. I think he's definitely, based on what I've read of him, and maybe I'm just inserting tone into it, it definitely seems to me like he is of the belief that this was, like, the right thing, which is why the movie is called Do the Right Thing.
Well, so...
Especially when you consider, fun fact, we read that in a later movie of his, he has the characters of Sal and Mookie in it again. Sal rebuilt his pizzeria somewhere else and rehired Mookie.
So I think there are multiple things there. So, first of all...
Again, I don't racist.
No, I don't really think that's exactly what Spike Lee is trying to get across. But also, even if that is, I think that still leads into, like, the overall message of the film. Which, generally, what I think this film is trying to say is that what exactly it means to do the right thing is entirely different based upon who you are, just from person to person. We see this conflicting of what the idea of doing the right thing is between people. It's constantly juxtaposing... Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, who, both civil rights leaders who have very different ideas of what doing the right thing is, especially when it pertains to, like, violence and stuff like that. So I think that the fact that people have different interpretations of what exactly that is, especially in regards to, like, burning down this business and stuff like that, is kind of the point of it, because we're trying to second guess ourselves. So, okay, well, what do I think the right thing is versus, like, what these people, and, like, that clashing of ideas is why this sort of, like, problem of racism is so difficult to solve due to just different groups of people having different ideas of what is right and wrong.
Here's the problem with that. Yeah. I can understand that perspective and perhaps say that is what Spike Lee was going for. Here is why I don't think he pulls it off. When the movie ends, it fades to black, and then we get dueling quotes by Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Martin Luther King basically saying that, violence begets violence, and then one by Malcolm X saying violence is justified when it's in self-defense, he says, though. And the violence we see done in this movie are not acts of self-defense. So, like, I think he wrote it badly. I think he's not portraying what he may be trying to portray.
Well, all right, so when you're talking about, like, violence specifically that's pictured within this film, are you talking about, like, the burning down of the pizzeria? So the best explanation that from what I've found as to, like, what black people think, like, why they believe, like, that whole, like, act is justified or whatever, is that the idea stems from, like, this is a community that feels hurt, and they feel a lot of loss that, like, another member of their community has just died, and they feel as though there's nothing they can do, especially since, like, what are they gonna do, like, go to the police or whatever? Like, they're the fucking people who killed the guy. So they want to lash out and, kind of, like, work out the sort of feelings that they have somehow, and so they do that by, acting upon the person who they perceive as causing the friction within their community, which is Sal and his pizzeria.
Yeah, but they're just wrong about that, is the thing.
We perceive them as wrong, Tanner. We don't think they're doing the right thing.
I don't see how a rational human being could not see them as in the wrong, though.
Apparently, a lot of people see them as doing the right thing now.
It doesn't matter if they see them as doing that, they're wrong. Like, they're just objectively incorrect. Like, maybe if they had attacked Sal personally, I could rationalize my way into doing this, but what the fuck does burning down his business have to do with anything?
You think attacking Sal is more justified than burning his business down?
Yes.
Why is that?
I think you could. I don't think it's justified. I think you could try and justify it. Like, it would make more sense since, you know, it's like, oh, him and Raheem were having their scuffle, and then that resulted in Raheem getting killed. Ultimately, the only thing that would really be justified is them attacking the police. But the fact they didn't do that at all, and then waited until the police left, and then destroyed Sal's business, it makes it seem like they just wanted to fuck something up that couldn't defend itself.
Speaking of that, kind of related, are you guys of the opinion that Mookie threw the trash can through the window to A, you know, start the riot because, you know, fuck Sal, not even necessarily like fuck Sal, but like he just wanted to, like, you know, he was of the opinion, you know, they had to take out their emotion on something. B, he was trying to divert the crowd like, away from Sal so that they wouldn't, you know, fucking kill him or assault him or something. Or C, something unrelated.
See, when I first saw him throw the trash can through, I did kind of get the sense that he was trying to redirect the crowd's energy. But then I think there's some line from him later in the movie that makes it very much seem like that wasn't his motivation at all. And, like, especially with the scene where he very callously is, like, walking up to Sal and, like, demanding his money or whatever after this man went through this fucking loss or whatever. And, like, so if they did want it to be like, oh, Mookie was, you know, he was trying to send the crowd after the business instead of after Sal, they probably should have, you know, had Mookie say something like that, had Sal say something acknowledging that, made it seem like the crowd was going to kill Sal before he, you know, redirected them. I don't think that was portrayed in the movie at all.
Well, again, I think it's being done that way to be more ambiguous. Personally, I think that it is more so that he was, like, you know, trying to redirect the crowd of people. But, yeah, I don't know. Mookie generally does not seem like a very stand-up individual, so I could very much so see it as him just, like, wanting to fucking fuck shit up after, like, you know, his friend died. But...
And here's my other big thing, is, like, so, you know, the conflict that is pushing this forward is the character of Bugging Out taking issue with the fact that the pizza place does not have black people on their Wall of Fame. Are we supposed to take that issue seriously? Because to me, it comes across like a joke. The characters in the movie treat it as a joke. So if, like, the main conflict that then led to these later consequences is a joke, how am I supposed to take the consequences seriously? Especially, and, like, this is a big thing to me, the character's name is Buggin' Out, which is a phrase that literally means, like, freaking out over nothing.
Well, yeah, I think it's like this, you know, it's like this minor thing that, like, over time, like, builds and builds into this much larger issue. Is just all that's happening there. I think that whether or not it is supposed to be a joke initially is pretty irrelevant overall, considering, like, you know, this very minor thing, whether it's a joke or not, still, like, ends up being this, like, turns into this whole big deal.
Okay, so it's kind of it's, like, retroactively justified as an issue because of the consequences that come out of it?
No, I'm not necessarily saying that at all. Like, you know,
it just doesn't matter what it was.
Yeah, I think that overall, you know, Buggin' Out is in the wrong here, no matter how you really slice it. You know, his fucking actions of, like, oh, fucking, there should be more black people on these walls here, Sal, why don't any brothers on the walls? Which, potentially, you could make a case for, like, yeah, maybe Sal should, like, throw some pictures up there. Maybe it'll, like, you know, maybe it would be a good business idea. That's something that he could, you know, pitch to Sal. But, you know, ultimately, it's his business. He can do whatever he wants with the walls. And, like, you know, Sal fucking Bugging Out, bringing up this whole thing, does eventually fucking escalate as, like, you know, Sal also fucking kicks out Raheem for the radio incident, and, like, you know, all these other members of the community are now like, you know, oh, fuck you, Sal, fuck you, dude, we're gonna fuck up your business now, which ultimately is Sal smashing the boombox, which, like, you know, maybe he shouldn't have done that. That was perhaps a bit of an escalation. Maybe he should have, like, you know, called the cops or something to get him out of there. Which, like, you know, at that point,
well,
like,
that'd
you know,
definitely be an escalation in their mind.
screaming the N-word and then smashing the boombox. I don't think that was ultimately the right decision for Sal to make. I don't think he was doing the right thing there, but
When it comes to conflicts of people of two different race or ethnicity, what isn't considered an acceleration? Because literally,
I don't know. I mean, they're just fucking people.
Yeah.
Literally, right after they got done hazing, raiding, and burning Sal's pizzeria, they were literally about to turn that entire conflict to the Korean store. So, this basically, to go off of what Tanner said, this whole movie turned from something that didn't really mean anything and nobody took seriously, because obviously Bugging Out was trying to get people to join him in his cause, there's no brothers on the wall or whatever, and nobody cared. They're like, whatever, dude, it's not a big deal, get over it. The only reason he got Raheem to join him is because Raheem got kicked out of the pizzeria because he was blasting his radio, which, I think, I don't even think that was a big deal either. It was just a bunch of, chinks in the armor that eventually led to one giant crack, where it was just the rule of thumb is, you don't walk into a place blaring music. That's just, the courteous thing to do. Now, I get, the situation, the environment they're in. I get that's not really, the social norm or whatever you want to call it. However, it was a thing that meant nothing in the beginning of the movie that turned into the biggest thing. And it all ultimately just turned into, why is this happening? This all literally happened for no reason. Why does Mookie have the moxie to ask this man for money that he's assuming he has, even though people raided his cash register for money, burned it, and ruined this man's entire livelihood? Why would he expect money from him? And I guess
he's a man of principles, Dylan.
And I was gonna say, I guess doing the right thing ultimately at the end of it was Sal paying this man what he earned in whatever else, something about. And then Mookie was like, no, you need the money for the window. That's the only snippet of do the right thing, besides when the old man was like, hey Mookie, remember, do the right thing, and he probably did something around that time that was also the right thing or whatever. But yeah, ultimately, this movie was just why did all these small conflicts have to happen? Literally, this movie is just escalation after escalation. People are just acting like other people are being racist because they're not treating them better than themselves, which I guess is the goal, is whatever, not the golden rule, but basically you have this system where it's if you're not treating me the same or better than how you're treating your own people, you're racist. But as soon as you treat me we're on the same level or slightly below, that's racist. It's not there's this huge disparaging gap that they're treating them. When Bugging Out got his shoes ran over by that guy on a bike, it was obviously not a big deal. He can clean his shoes, but he treated it as some racist thing where he's oh, you just ran over shoes, you're not gonna apologize. Oh, you think because you're white you're better? And he's freaking out. It's just a bunch of why? This is just exaggeration and didn't need to happen. It was all just delusions of a man who is probably nicknamed for a reason.
Well, I mean, yeah, most people think that he's just fucking crazy or whatever. Most people aren't really paying him any mind for the most part.
Yeah, which clearly isn't the case by the end of the movie. So I don't.
At the end of the movie, Sal calls them the N-word.
I just think this movie's a bunch of why did any of this need to happen. I get the message it's trying to portray. Maybe that's why this movie could be considered successful. It made me think, why does this need to happen? This is stupid. I get the idea. But I think in terms of plot progression and just the way the things played out, it just doesn't. There's just too many pieces that don't make sense. Like I said, it would make sense as a slice of life movie. Outside of that, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I agree. This movie was very successful in making me think, even if ultimately what I thought is the person who made this movie is not very smart.
Yeah, I think that this is a very well put together movie for the most part. We've basically just been talking about the race shit throughout this entire review thus far.
What else is there?
I mean, as far as the
That's
actual...
why it was made.
As far as the actual filmmaking goes, though, I feel like it was pretty good at that as well. Just the overall fucking cinematography I thought was very good in this film. There are a lot of those fucking close shots of people with the big old fisheye lens or whatever the fuck. They feel very uncomfortable and make you feel all uneasy. The overall fucking color grade and stuff like that in this film really sell the idea that this is a heat wave and stuff that's going on. All the characters are constantly just fucking sopping wet because it's so hot outside, which I thought was really nice.
I agree with Nico. I think this is a very well-made movie overall. I was looking into some of the production, some discussions about the production of this film after the fact, and it really kind of just convinced me, not convinced, maybe it's the wrong word, but just, I don't know, made me think more about like what goes into making a set like this in the first place and making it feel natural, because this movie, if anything, feels incredibly natural. Like, it really does just kind of feel like you're watching a day in the life of these people in this neighborhood. It didn't really feel like we were watching like a movie, and I think it did a really good job about that. And I think a big part of that is just like the crowd design with how they did that, the way they would set up shop with people in the background walking naturally. It really just felt like a really lived-in space for the most part. And just, it just felt natural, like I said. The acting, of course, contributes a lot to that. I think the acting was incredibly well done in this movie. It was all just really solid from like a movie-making perspective.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. A bonus fun fact for you, as far as the production goes. Fun fact for you here, they only had 2 pizzas. They only had enough money in the budget for 2 pizzas.
I didn't really talk a lot about like the race portrayal things in general myself. I guess I'll just give my brief 2 cents about it. I think the idea behind this movie is just to kind of point out like a bunch of people, a bunch of different races can live in the same neighborhood. You can see that conflict will arise because of this. It's just the difference of people, how they were raised, things like that. I think a big part of that was just, everybody going like one after the other of talking about things they don't like about different races. And I think the ending scene is kind of just what happens when 2 of those just don't mesh in the end. The fucking Sal wouldn't give in to like a simple demand maybe that would have completely negated all the drama, even if it is not justified. Like, I agree. I think he's totally in his right to not put up pictures of like famous black people, but also you kind of have to know your crowd. Like, that's who you're trying to sell to. And in the end, even if it wasn't his fault necessarily, that is what ended up causing the death of that person. And, I think that's just kind of what's it's just trying to like, I don't even know if the question of if who did the right thing is posed at like that final scene necessarily, or if it's just about like the concept of, being nice to your neighbors regardless of who they are. That's just my 2 cents though.
So everything I said, thanks for echoing it, Jackson. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, I was getting pretty lost in the sauce in your guys' discussion there, so I don't know if I repeated much or not.
Well, alrighty, boys. Is that about all these 4 white boys have to say about this film about race relations?
Who knows, dude?
Alright, so Dylan, would you like to kick off our ratings for this film here?
I have been mulling it over. I'm not entirely sure I've come to a conclusion yet. Circle back around to me, please.
What 4 ranks are you tossing up in between right now?
Yeah.
Not that many.
Okay.
He's lost between C, F, and A+.
Yeah.
Depending on how we go. I guess I'll kick us off.
Yeah, sure.
I like this movie a lot, actually. I like movies that make me think a lot. There was definitely a lot of questions this movie asked me, really just because of that one like really commonly quoted thing where people, white people would ask Spike Lee why Buki threw the trash can through the window, and or why they destroyed the pizzeria, and then black people would never ask that question. I just think stuff like that's really cool, where it's like just a completely separate perspective on something can totally change how you view this movie. Yeah. I really wish we had more, obviously I feel like we're all pretty close together, and obviously we have disagreements about some things, but we're generally pretty close with how we view this. And another perspective would have been nice just on the other side of the coin. But yeah, I give it an A- personally.
Wow. There we go. Yeah, everything Jackson just said, I agree with my husband. How can a single man be so right so often? I give an A tier.
Interesting, wow.
So, Dylan, have you had enough time to think there?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Jackson made a really solid comment where it's like, it didn't feel like you were watching a movie, it just felt like you were experiencing life. And I alluded to that idea a lot. It makes a lot of sense as a slice of life movie, so I can't fault it for that. I'm not going to rate it super high, but I still thought it was pretty good. I'm not far off from you guys.
C+.
No, I'll give it a B+.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Tanner, so what do you think about this critically acclaimed film?
F-.
Is it critically acclaimed?
It is, yes. This is a very beloved film, by the way.
Every time I see anybody talk about this movie, they're always just glazing the fuck out of it. Like, yeah, this is one of the best movies ever made. Everybody has to see this movie, that type of thing.
I think this is in, Roger Ebert's, top 15 films ever made or something like that.
50.
That's a little overhyped, I think.
Has he seen The Raid 2? I'm not like a hater or nothing. I think this is a good movie. I gave it a B, just to break the tension there. B for black.
Haterade! This guy doesn't like black people.
I gave it a B+. B is for black, you motherfucker.
B is for black, dude. Just to introduce some, disagreement amongst us, I'm actually now entirely on the black people's side because I'm racist against Italians.
Let's fucking go,
They invented pizza, how dare you, son of a bitch.
Americans invented pizza.
American Italians.
That is something we didn't really talk about that much. I feel like a big part of the discussion about this movie is whether or not Sal is racist, or if they're posed as racist. At least when I was reading through discussions, that was primarily what people were really hung up about. Because all the white people were like, no, he's not racist, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And all the black people are like, obviously he's insanely racist, what the fuck are you guys on about?
What? No, they're not saying that about Sal, they're saying that about his very obviously racist son.
No, they say that about Sal.
What?
They're saying it about the whole family.
Sal is not racist.
That's something I also saw come up a lot. There were like two main points of discussion there. Because fucking Sal says the N-word in the movie, that's that's the obvious big sign a lot of people have for it. But then the other one is Sal talking about why they're in this neighborhood to begin with. They're like, oh, okay, Sal obviously doesn't actually like black people. He just sees them as a paycheck. They're just how he gets his money, which I feel like Sal very obviously does actually like these people. He seems like a pretty charitable person.
These people.
He gives the mayor money to sweep the sidewalk and stuff like that. He gives what's his name, Smiley, money as well for his pictures and stuff like that. He's very obviously someone who does enjoy being in this neighborhood, and
he literally hits on Mookie's sister.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't they also have the line? I can't remember if I'm just totally hallucinating this or not. But didn't they have a line when Sal was talking to his son? By the window, where Sal says something along the lines of he's been in this neighborhood longer than they have, kind of thing.
Yeah, he was talking about how these kids, these people, they grew up off my pizza, stuff like that. I think that so obviously it's tough to defend Sal for saying the N-word here, okay?
I think
I don't think it's that tough. They were, he was fucking up he was getting in his face and being aggressive, and that's a word that he knows is hurtful.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I think
it's a cheat code,
I think he was.
Here's how I make you more upset than me. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's two sides of the coin to it. There is one where you could look at Sal has been racist this whole time. There's been a lot of resentment that's built up just over his time working at this pizzeria in this neighborhood. And that was just finally the tipping point where it just kind of spilled out, and he couldn't control himself from making it obvious. But you could also look at it from the perspective of it was just a really heat of the moment thing. He was flustered. He couldn't really think of anything. He knows what the word was, and he just said the first thing that came to mind. Obviously, wasn't in incredible taste. There's plenty of instances of people, something like that, PewDiePie on the bridge. But, maybe they're not, actually racist, but, it just slips out, And, I don't know. I don't really think Sal's racist. I think there's a lot of counter evidence to the fact, especially, him talking down to his son, who is incredibly racist towards black people. I don't
when
think,
they're, in a
one-on-one
discussion.
Yeah, I don't think he is. Obviously, his son is. That's not really a discussion point at all. I don't think Sal is, though. I don't think he deserved what happened. But it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, I also don't think Raheem deserved to die there. The cops need to fucking choke him out. Obviously, he wouldn't have been choked out if he wasn't fucking resisting arrest and had 3 cops trying to hold his ass down, but I still don't think it's worth killing the fucker to do that.
One of the cops was clearly shouting, "Stop it, you're gonna kill him, stop it, we got him."
Yeah, again, I don't think it's justified.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, there isn't any character in this film who's purely good or anything like that. Every person has, Raheem was saying, everybody got that mixture of love and hate in them, they're constantly tussling and stuff like that. I think really the only character who's purely good is Mookie's sister. She's really the only one who you see who doesn't do or say anything fucked up at all. But
and who's purely bad is Mookie. They're two sides of the same coin. They really do a horrible job. I don't. The entire time I was are we supposed to like Mookie? He's kind of a fucking loser.
He is. Yeah.
He's a deadbeat. He's a deadbeat dad. He's a loser. He fucking constantly fucks off his easy ass job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like him. I don't understand. And
it's a job where literally all he has to do is deliver pizzas within walking distance.
Yeah, it's the easiest fucking job in the world.
It's a hot day, though, man.
Yeah, no, that's what having a job is. Sometimes you work in shitty conditions.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't think I said the overall ranking of this movie. We got on like a 5-minute long tangent after.
Yeah.
A-. It landed at A-.
There we go.
Holy cow, it's just like yesterday.
One could say this was an extremely controversial movie.
Oh, yeah. We could say that.
We could say that.
Honestly, I expected more discussion from us.
No way.
I could talk about a lot more, but I'm gonna withhold because this review's already long as fuck.
Yeah, I wrote so many fucking notes for this movie.
Yeah, I don't have the mental capacity, and I did not take enough mental notes to continue this conversation anymore and offer any more intelligence than what I currently have.
Yeah, like just for a snippet, without getting into the weeds, is I wanted to be able to talk about in more detail the relationship between the Korean grocery store owner or general store owner versus Sal in the pizzeria, and why one got what they had and why the other was spared, for lack of a better term. But it's whatever. There's a lot to be dug into with this movie, which is why I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And speaking of movies that we appreciate, Dylan and Jackson, what movies are you guys going to be picking for us to check out next week?
Dude, I have this one locked in, loaded. I've been meaning to pick this movie for a while. I feel like I can't remember the last time I watched it. Or, I guess, frankly, when Nico and I watched it. And I think it was somebody else.
Yeah. Dylan, don't fucking say anything, by the way.
Say what?
You'll see.
Okay.
I don't think this is the movie that Nico thinks it is.
Apparently it's not. Never mind.
What the fuck? I don't know what the year is. It's like 2018.
Let's go.
I'm pretty sure it's the 2018 film. Yeah, I'm right. 2018. Makia, When the Promised Flower Blooms.
Oh, there we go.
I like this movie a lot. I can't remember when we last watched it, but I want to watch it again, so I'm picking it.
Holy smokes! Is that the movie where?
How do you spell that?
Maquia.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah, I see it. Damn, this looks like shit.
I'm sure we'll have some fun discussions about it. Dylan, what are you picking?
That is going to be Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, wow.
That's fun.
Yeah, it'll be a fun
Radical.
Yeah, I love Kung Fu Panda. It's a great movie.
And speaking of Kung Fu Pandas, we've got our Patreon pick this week, which of course is the 2004 film Shark Tale, as requested by Steve Harvey's Ghost. Thank you for the request.
Steve Harvey's Ghost, I love you.
We've got an animated film week.
Oh yeah, they are all animated. Look at that. That's fun.
How silly.
Yeah. And speaking of the Patreon, Tanner's going to tell you all about how you too can request a movie for us to watch.
That's right. If you head on over to patreon.com/Guapish for only $1 a month, you get early access to every episode as well as exclusive access to our pre-Guap show. You also get 500 slime coin when we give you access to our Discord, and you can request your own topics for us to talk about and request your own movie for us to watch, just like Steve Harvey's Ghost did. And finally, you get your name read out at the end of every episode, just like I am right now. Thank you very much to GH, Slade by J, Blake, Nedagant, Dumb Gay Retard, Top Ramen Man, Joshua Bean, I See Dead People, Tutbot, Lucas Ledette, Hunter, and Jacob Edwards.
Oh, you are a piece of shit, Tanner, but say la vie. I feel like we should really have like some sort of an outro that we normally say. We just really haven't had one up to this point, so I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.